Hi all. Today I'm going to discuss one case study, that is pacemaker troubleshooting with related common clinical scenarios. So before getting into this topic, first we should know what is meant by pacemaker when it is being used. Okay. So the pacemaker is a device which comes into the picture when the people have or when the patient have problem with the heart nodes. Yes, we have four nodes, especially if you take SA node, AV node, a bundle of and Purkinje fibers. These are the origin of electrical stimulus given to the heart so that the heart is pumping in synchronized way. Okay, so if you have problem with any of this code, then we need to go for some supporting device, which is nothing but pacemaker. Okay, we used to call SA node as a natural pacemaker. Then another node is AV node. So these are the node responsible for generating impulse. These impulse will be distributed or spread out all over the atria so that atrial muscle will contract. So blood is pumped out into the ventricles. Then the ventricles will receive the ventricle muscles will receive the impulse from AV node and bundle of his, and then it will these muscles will these impulse will spread out. Okay, that is a transmitter all over the ventricle so that the whole ventricle muscles will start to contract. As a result, the blood is pumped out into respective walls. Okay, so this is the way the contraction and relaxation of heart muscle is happening with the help of electrical impulse generated by each and every SA nodes. I mean nodes. Okay, so if you have problem with any of these nodes, then it means that the pulse will not be stimulate the heart muscle. So as a result, there will not synchronized contraction will happen. At last, it will affect the cardiac output. Okay, so to support this, to address this problem, we have one device, that is a pacemaker. This is the device which gives the electrical stimulus wherever the SA node is not possible to give or any other node is not possible to give. It will take over that function by means of this device, and in order to maintain restore the normal heartbeat. Okay, this is the main function of pacemaker. So since I told you this is the one device which is going to give electrical impulse, then if you take any the components which produce the electrical component, means electrical component, that is electrical signal, in the sense we need a pulse generator, that is one of the main component. Another one is the lead, which is going to be carry this electrical impulse and then give to the heart muscles. Okay, these are the main two heart components for pacemaker. One is pulse generator, it is going to be generate pulse, and second one is intracardiac leads. These leads will make connection between pulse generator and the heart muscles, so that the pulse whatever is being generated inside pulse generator will be transmitted to the heart, so that this heart muscles will get stimulated, it will do its action. Okay, this is the two major components. So these pacemakers will function in two ways. One is a dual or single chamber. If you take single chamber pacemaker, you have only single leads, which is either placed on a right atrium or into the left ventricle. Okay, so since you are concentrating only the single chamber, either right atrium or right ventricle, this pacemaker is called a single chamber pacemaker. Then dual chamber pacemaker means here you are going to use two leads, that is, you are going to concentrate both atriums or both ventricle. Okay, sorry, either one, both atrium and ventricle. Okay, the two leads is one will go to right atrium, another one is for right ventricle. Okay, so in single chamber, either atrium or ventricle, dual chamber, atrium or ventricle, both we will concentrate. Okay, so this is all about the basic of pacemaker. Okay, so what problem usually encountered when we put this device under function, in the sense it may end up with two main problems. So the cause of the pacemaker malfunction is if you take that there may be the failure to pace that appropriate cardiac chamber, or you maybe have problem with detecting intracardiac signals. These are two major cause of any pacemaker to be malfunction. Okay, so if you take the failure to pace the appropriate cardiac chamber, it have two possibility. One is output failure, another one is capture failure. Here the problem with detecting intracardiac signals, again you may have two options. One is under sensing, another one is over sensing. Let's see one by one. The output failure, this type of failure is usually found in the pacemaker is when the pacemaker programmed rate, okay, the pacemaker programmed heart rate is very lower than the normal heart rate. In that case, the pacemaker failed to sense the cardiac function of the original heart, so there is the then there will be no output will be given by the pacemaker. Okay, so this is the one cases of getting output failure. It means, see here, if the heart rate is below the programmed lower rate of pacemaker, then obviously the electrical impulse from by the pacemaker will not be given to the heart muscles. So this is the one type of output failure. The cause of the output failure is maybe many reasons. One is the lead failure, that could be the lead fracture or lead displacement, or the generator failure, or the battery failure, or crosstalk inhibition, or oversensing. Okay, so this is the waveform of patient with the single chamber pacemaker. So see here, this is the area the pacemaker should give the pace of electrical impulse, but actually it's not been given because of that under rate. Okay, the pacemaker may be misunderstood that or they misrecognize the impulse being generated by the heart rate. So that because of that misconception, the pacemaker will not be given the pace, okay, at the expected time. So this is the one reason. Second one is a capture failure. So this capture failure is that the pacemaker is working properly, but that stimulus is not initiate the myocardial depolarization, that is the spike of QRS. Okay, it means that the spacing spikes are present, that is the pacemaker is actually giving the stimulus. In initial case, the pacemaker is not giving stimulus because of misconception of some heart function. Here the pacemaker is giving stimulus. As a result, you can see the spike on the screen of ECG monitor, but is actually not in synchronized way with ECG, but it's supposed to follow the QRS complex after each spikes given by the pacemaker. But here the after each spikes, it's not followed properly by the QRS complex in the event of ventricular non-capture. If you see in ventricular atrial non-capture, it has to be follow the P waves, but here there is a lack of P waves in the event of atrial non-capture. So this is the reason of capture failure. Okay, so it's giving impulse, but it is not in synchronized with ECG waveform. Okay, so the cause of this failure is lead dislodgement, or low output, or lead maturation, or lead or pacer failures. So these are the reason to have this type of capture failure. So this is the ECG waveform of particular patient with single chamber. If you see here, you have a sequence of pacing stimulus by the pacemaker, but it actually is not followed the QRS complex. So each and every pacemaker, actually the QRS complex has to be followed in normal cases, that is with the first degree atrioventricular block, that is a ventricular type of heart block. But here if you see each and every spacing, there is no followed QRS complex. So as a result, this type of failure is capture failure. Okay, next, if you see other type of problem is because of affecting pacing threshold. Okay, so pacing threshold is the minimum and required energy that is constantly used to trigger the depolarization of pacemakers. That threshold has to be maintained in such a way to have proper depolarization of paced chamber. But in some cases, if this pacing threshold is being affected by so many factors, that factors could be anti-arrhythmic drugs usage, or any other physical activity level, or posture, or time of day or combo BG. Okay, so these are the different factors which may affect the threshold, so that it will fails to triggers, or it triggers in some other time, some problem will be happen. Okay, let's see what are the different problems which been encountered when you have pacing threshold performance affected. So you have two types of problem. One is under sensing, one is over sensing. So in under sensing, if you see, undersensing is occurs when the pacemaker fails to detect spontaneous myocardial depolarization. So what happened, which result in asynchronous pacing. Okay, so atrial or ventricular pacing spikes will rise regardless of P waves or QRS complex. So this is because of undersensing of pacemaker. So as a result, you can see the appearance of too many spacing spikes on the ECG. Okay. So what could be the reason for this undersensing? Means the pacemaker programming problems will be there, or insufficient myocardial voltage signal. So this signal should meet the minimum threshold value so that the pacemaker will trigger the pace chamber. But if you have insufficient or inadequate voltage signal, that is a very weak, if you have very weak signal, then obviously it will not be paced by the pacemaker, or you may have any lead or other pacemaker failure possibilities, or if you, even the electrolyte abnormality also will be there. Okay, these are the main reason for undersensing. This is the waveform graph, ECG waveform for undersensing. So you can see you are having the so many spikes of spacing here. So next one is oversensing. Oversensing is actually occurs when the pacemaker sends the electrical signals, but actually should not normally encoded. So what happened, which results in incorporate incubation of pacing stimulus. Okay, so this is the oversensing. So it's giving the stimulus where it's actually is not to give. Okay, so this is again it will end up with unsynchronized, that means asynchronized pulsing pacing stimulus. Okay, so oversensing can be caused by physiological signals like T waves, or by biopotential or by any biopotential signals. Even the non-physiological signals will also interfere this type of a problem, will interfere and give this type of problem. That non-physiological signal is like electromagnetic interference or lead failures. In the lead failures, if you see insulation breakage or leads fracture, so these could be the problem which could lead to oversensing. So as a result, the pacemaker will sense the electrical signals, then it should not normally actually that is the time it should not normally encounter. So as a result, it will inhibit the pacing stimulus. Okay, so this is the thing of oversensing. Okay, so that's all about pacemaker troubleshooting. So here today class we just discussed what is pacemaker and what are the problems we could face when we'll have a pacemaker in use. Okay, so the two major problem is, one is related with output. Okay, that is output failure. Another one is capture failure. Second one is based on the affecting of threshold level. Okay, so that may end up with undersensing and oversensing. So when we are doing any surveys or something, we have to think in all these four aspects, and we have to rectify the problem to make the device in proper usage. Thank you.